questions if you would like, and refilling your glasses maybe, and then enjoying the exhibition one more time. So over to you, Egill Sæbjörnsson. The stage
Thank you,
is yours.
Thank you. Hi everyone, good to see you. So I will just start the lecture performance with a little introduction. Today I would like to talk about art in a slightly different way than we usually do. Most of the time we speak about art as something that human beings create. We imagine artists producing artworks, expressing ideas, shaping materials, and leaving their mark on the world. But what if that is only one part of the story? What if art is not simply just something that we make? What if it's something that we interact with? For many years I've been interested in shifting my perspective in this direction. Instead of seeing art as an object produced by a human being, I have become increasingly interested in seeing it as something that has its own presence in the world, something that we enter into a relationship with. At first it might seem like a small change in language, but I believe it leads to much larger questions. The idea that human beings stand at the center of existence has shaped much of Western thought, and I call this the homocentric view. From this perspective, humans appear separate from nature. We imagine ourselves standing outside the world, observing it, managing it, and shaping it according to our needs. Today, that worldview is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Climate change, ecological crisis, and advances in science continually remind us that we are not outside nature, we are participants in it. Scientists such as James Lovelock and Lynn Margulis propose that the Earth functions are one vast interconnected system. Every action affects countless others. More recently, political science such as Jane Bennett have argued that agency and vitality may exist far beyond the boundaries that we usually assign only to human beings. The title of this lecture, My Friend the Art, comes from this exhibition at the North Atlantic House in Copenhagen. And during the conversations with curator Silke Calmer Dinesen, we kept returning to a simple question. What if art is not merely an object? What if it is a force? Something that accompanies us throughout life? Something that changes us. A color can alter our mood. A song can transform an afternoon. A painting can stay with us for decades. A poem can change how we understand ourselves. We cannot always explain why a work of art affects us, yet we know that it does. Instead of asking what is art, perhaps we could ask, what does art do? Part 1, the homocentric view. Let us begin with a simple observation. Human beings tend to see everything from the perspective of themselves. We already said that. Sounds obvious, but it has enormous consequences. For instance, we often speak about humanity and nature as if they are separate things. Humanity on one side and nature on the other. But if we step back, the division becomes difficult to maintain. What exactly is not nature? Forests are nature, oceans are nature, mountains are nature, but perhaps cities are also nature, even computers. Spacecraft is in the large picture also part of nature, and a painting is nature, a smartphone, human beings. They're also part of nature. We are part of nature and all that we make. We're not visitors here. We are participants. The world contains countless relationships unfolding simultaneously. We could consider the viewpoint of a tree, the viewpoint of a river, the viewpoint of a cloud, the viewpoint of bacterium, and perhaps even the viewpoint of a work of art. I'm not saying that these viewpoints are or think like humans, but they do have agency and they respond to message and action. They don't speak English, French, Korean, or Chinese. No, the language is different. For example, the language of a large stone on the ground is that if you run against it, you bounce off. It's physical, but it's a response and it's a language. Also, another way the stone interacts with the environment, it collects heat during the sunny day hours and transmits it back into the environment at night. It gives out heat. It's a non-verbal language. Heat. Language is universal and not only a human thing. And perhaps something interesting appears when we stop placing ourselves at the center of everything. Science attempts to do that in a way, but it's still mostly homocentric. The human perspective and our language has created a certain frame that is sometimes quite old and quite difficult to get past. Just like when science thought it broke out of the dogma of religion. Part 2. Art as object species. I would like to introduce a new idea. Idea that art is a species. Could sound absurd at first, because we were taught that species are living things and that artworks are objects, one belonging to biology and the other belonging to culture. One being a living being and the other a dead object. We tend to divide the world into two categories: living things and dead things. Yet, when we look closely, reality is not so simple. Many things that we call dead things actually behave as if they were alive. They grow and they even replicate. Crystals grow. Inside everything is movement. All atoms move. All electrons move. Molecules reorganize. Is that life already, or is all that dead? As an experiment, take away the words dead and living. Feels scary, but it might open new doors. The single cell dilemma. If the first chapter in the great book of life starts with the single cells, then I think there are many chapters in front of it missing. And we should edit the school books with those chapters in. Or maybe just cut to the point. Maybe life never started. Maybe it was already there all along the time. What is an object species? An object species is a term that I made up because I couldn't find a better one describing what I was trying to say. In short, it's a family of things that reproduces through relationships. Things that are not in the species of human, plant, lichen, insect, bacteria, microbe, or virus. Most commonly, a species is defined as the largest group of organisms that are capable of interbreeding in nature to produce viable, fertile offsprings. Lions and tigers can technically be crossed to create ligers, but because ligers are nearly always sterile and can't reproduce, lions and tigers remain separate species. But I think no species really multiplies entirely on their own. Not even humans reproduce entirely on their own. They need circumstances that make it possible. And a lot of other usually invisible relationships to help. Without the right gravity, we can't reproduce. We also need the right temperature. We can't exist without water. We are completely dependent on microbes. There are 10 times more microbes and bacteria outside and inside the body than its cells combined. We are upon the mercy of countless external relationships when it comes to sustaining ourselves. Now, let's see how chairs reproduce. A person sat down on a bench thousands of years ago. It felt good. So later they sat down again. That habit and relationship with the wooden branch developed into the first chair. Sitting on a chair kept on being comfortable, so humans kept reproducing chairs. Chairs reproduce with the help of wood and humans. They are dependent on these relationships when it comes to reproduction. The species of chairs evolved over a long time and will continue existing and developing in relation with humans and all the materials. The same is true for buildings, books, cars, computers, and art. Part 3. How art uses humans. We normally believe that humans make and use art. But what if art also makes and uses humans? Art gives us pleasure, meaning, wonder, identity, connection. Because of this, we continue making more art. Art persuades us to help it continue its existence. We shape art, and art shapes us. We love books, so we make more books. We love music, so we make more of it. We have a relationship with images. The influence of art on humanity is immeasurable. A werewolf is half wolf and half human. Modern humans are half art and half Part 4. The only real genius is art itself. Today we celebrate individual artists. Picasso, Frida Kahlo, Rembrandt, Louis Bourgeois, Turner, Hilma Klimt, Andy Warhol, Kusama, we talk about talent, we speak about genius, we build careers, we build reputations, we build markets. But this is relatively recent. Before the Renaissance, individual artists mattered far less. The craft mattered, the artwork actually mattered, and the patron mattered. The artist was often anonymous. Then something changed. The middle class emerged. Banking expanded. Commerce expanded. Artists started to operate as individuals. Signatures appeared. The modern artist was born. Since then, we have become fascinated by individual authorship. Since the Renaissance, that has been the norm for how art functions. 500 years of middle class, capitalism, and geniuses. The age of the individual artists and their careers. Yet let's not forget, no artist has ever worked alone. Every artist inherits thousands of years of accumulated knowledge. Every artist stands on the shoulders of countless predecessors. And every artist eventually becomes a shoulder for someone else to stand on. Seen from this perspective, art history begins to look different. Imagine one enormous workshop that has been opened since we lived in caves. It has changed locations, but it's still the same workshop. Every person that enters learns from others and continues developing the craft. Then grows old with time and others take over. All these generations of artists, all working in the same workshop, including Hilma Klimt, Rembrandt, Frida Kahlo, Picasso. People come and go, great talents and thinkers, making mind-blowing things. But maybe the biggest genius amongst them all is the one, the most unseen, standing in the middle, art itself. Part 5, Sigrid's space within art. This brings me to someone who profoundly influenced my thinking. The Icelandic artist and art therapist Silke Calmer. Long before art therapy became widely recognized, she understood something fundamental. She was not primarily interested in the artworks. She was interested in what art does. She firmly believed that art is like a force that lives inside of everyone from birth. She worked with children in hospitals. She did not tell them what to draw. She did not correct them. She did not teach style. She simply created space. A space where sick children or other individuals that she worked with could take initiative. When she had been interning at the Maudsley Hospital in London in 1952, the art teacher they taught the children traditionally, but Sigurð's approach was different, revolutionary. Everyone on the ward saw the results from her intuitive approach. The children felt better. There was progress. Sigrid developed the method further and is one of the first inventors of art therapy in the world. My mother, Ágústa Oddsdóttir, attended art therapy with Sigrid for many years. The process was not about producing masterpieces. It was about a safe space in a relationship with art. A relationship that allowed reflection, healing, transformation. It had an effect directly on my life because it affected my family. And it encouraged myself to go to therapy later. It changed how I understand art. Not as an object, not as something you make, but as an active participant, almost as a friend. Conclusion, my friend, the art. When I enter an art museum, I sometimes experience a strange feeling. I sense a creature behind all the artworks. And it's looking at me or somehow radiating something. A presence that is larger than the work itself. I don't know if you also have that feeling. What I know is this. Art has accompanied humanity for as long as we can remember. It has shaped us, comforted us, provoked us, healed us, inspired us, and transformed us. We often think that we are the makers of art, but perhaps we are also its product. And like art is our companion, we might be its companions, its caretakers, its collaborators. Perhaps art is not simply something hanging on a wall. Perhaps it's one of our oldest friends. Thank you.